monster!
We all go a little mad sometimes.
You lied and I died!
I feel a woozy air!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
How's it hanging, Phil?
Stop the front time, bitch!
Come and get it! So either put the gun down now, or kiss your ass goodbye. Let's get this party started.
I agree, Dana. Let's get this party started. So, welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge in my Dickie shorts, and let's talk punk rock. So, this is the second stream I've ever done on this channel that was not horror related or horror adjacent. So, if you guys are here, thank you for coming out. I'm very excited to talk about this. Music is probably the third biggest passion in my life outside of horror and baseball. So to talk about this with three dudes that I really look up to and consider great friends is awesome. So let's get to the round table and talk about these awesome dudes. First off, we have Robbie from That Horror Couple. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. I want to thank you guys for I want everybody for being here. I'm happy to be part of this, dude. This is really cool.
Oh.
And me and you, first time we got together, Cam, before we went live, we talked music for like a while. So and
Yeah.
we're like, I love that band. No, I love that band. And we were like naming bands that like were kind of underground too. And we both heard of them. So it's kind of cool we're doing this, you know? So
You had me at the Queers, bro.
oh yeah, dude. I saw them here. Like a year ago. They played
Dude,
some
if they could just like go and do a whole tour where they just did Don't Back Down, my life would just be, it'd be solid. I'd consider it a W if I could see that live. So
like the whole album from start to finish.
yes, with the whole album from front to back. So we got Robbie of
Yeah.
That Horror Couple right below me, where he should be. Right underneath me is Jason of Captain Sassy Media. How you doing tonight, brother?
Not bad, not bad. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude,
It was
obviously had to
I was
bring you
just
back
sitting-
on for this.
Well, I was racking my brain just now. I'm like, how did we start talking about Blink? I don't even remember. You know, we just like each of those conversations, we've done those lives, and we end up talking for like an hour afterwards.
Right.
It's been awesome.
It is, and it's amazing to get to know you guys in this type of area, because like I said, we all talk horror and that, but another person that I'm talking about, my good buddy Michael down here. He literally hit me up one day. Was like, "Yo, bro, I love Say Anything." I was like, "Oh, it's funny because I have a tattoo," and that just like
love them.
that just sparked our conversation into punk rock and the early bands that we were both in. And I knew at that moment when we started talking about me and Jason, the one actually started talking about doing the stream, and I was like, I know two dudes that could join us for this. That would be fucking perfect.
Yep.
So obviously you have Robbie from That Horror Couple, you have Jason of Captain Sassy Media, and Michael of Video Creep. And I have all their links down in the description. So if you're not already subscribed to their YouTube channels, please make sure you are. That Horror Couple is putting out content like fucking crazy. So is Video Creep. And Captain Sassy Media just released their short film. So you guys got to go and check that out. I absolutely adore it. They did an amazing job. It's 5 minutes of your time that is going to turn into about a half hour to 45 minutes of your time because of the amount of times you're going to watch it. So make sure you're checking that out. Now, gentlemen, before we get started, I do want to catch up on the chat. Atticus Finch, I've heard of you somewhere. Can't wait. I'm glad you're here. I was always more of a metal fan, so I was never into Blink 182. I can't really rank their stuff, but hope you guys have an awesome chat. Well, thank you, Charles. I love you, buddy. And member for 6 months. When is the members video coming out? Give me 1 second. You gave us the donation, so I got it. Ooh, baby, real quick.
Ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
So yes, we will
Every time.
We are doing a members only video where you get to know our members. That video will come out hopefully in the next week or two. There's still a couple people we're waiting on their videos for. So once I get those videos in, the whole thing will be done and uploaded to our channel publicly. This is not a members only video, just a video of our members so we can show you guys off because we love you guys so much. And there's one of them, Tatum. Hopefully, yes, please get us your video. We would love to have you on there. Adrian, how's it going? Ryan. Hey, Here's to the next 100, I hope. Thank you for watching us for a year, Dog Lover. That seriously means a lot. It's hard for me to put up with me for like 10 minutes sometimes. Hey, we are excited for this too. Thank you for joining us, the better half of that horror couple. One of my best friends growing up. Right, what's up, Steph? Hi, Kaylee. Hi, Diandra. Hi, Ashley. I love how all the wives are in here, just like, hey, what's up, guys? I don't see enough of you at home. Oh, trust me, that's been put in the spank bank. Trust me, that image is going nowhere anytime soon. So, hey, what's up, Nathan? So I got a confession to make. We are ranking 9 of their records here. We're not doing Buddha. We're not doing Dogs Eating Dogs. We're not doing the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. So before we started, I just kind of wanted to get like a roundtable discussion about those things to see what your guys' opinions on them. I want to say that if we're talking about Buddha, and I was talking about this with Robbie, there's certain tracks off Buddha that I like the Buddha version better than the Cheshire Cat, like Carousel for sure. I like the opening with just the bass, going right into the tune. I like that. And I think Buddha is just so raw and fun when I listen to it. I always have a great time listening to Buddha. Dogs Eating Dogs. Something else that I talked with Robbie about. I like Dogs Eating Dogs as a whole more than I like Neighborhoods. So that might spoil a little something about my list. Oh. But When I Was Young and Pretty Little Girl, I think are two like bangers in the Blink discography. Out of all their songs, I put those two maybe in the top 50 of all their songs, and they're both from the same EP. So I really dig those tunes. And while we're talking about top 10 Blink songs, Man Overboard is going to be on that for me. I think Man Overboard is easily. Sure. I remember the first time I heard Man Overboard, I was just like, wow, like they did something, and obviously Blink fans knew it was about Scott, right. And hearing that, and then you go back and now obviously we have the other demos from Enema, because Man Overboard was a track that was left off Enema, and I'm still like, really? Like that's the one. And again, nothing against Enema, but God damn, that track is so good. Like, how did that?
It's a weird call. It's a weird call to knock it on there. And you just touched on fucking Dogs Eating Dogs, and I'm such a Dogs Eating Dogs like stan. Like I can't stand how often like people don't talk about that EP when it's just solid. Every single track on there just feels like warm soup or something. Like it's just delicious. It's a fucking great EP.
Yes, it is. And every single track on there, you go into that and you're like, okay, we had Neighborhoods, and then we have this. What's next?
Exactly.
That's we're gonna go think about.
We're gonna go find some aliens. That's what we're gonna do now. That's cool.
They're like no peace.
So that's kind of the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. I absolutely loved that they went with a live record right there at that point, because a lot of people had just found out about them from Enema. So how do you educate this newer? And this wasn't like it is today, where you could just go and get on YouTube and watch all their old shit, or just go to Spotify and listen to it. So they were like, how can we introduce these people that are just finding us to some of our cool older shit, without making them go out and just buy the records? And so I thought it was a genius move of them to just be like, you know what? Let's fucking put out a live record right now. Let's have some fun with it. And let's do it. And let's include one studio track so TRL can keep us fucking happy. We can stay in their rotation over at TRL. Carson Daly, come on, man, keep us going. So
it was a great idea, especially what you're saying about how like it was a smart move to like bring people in, because like not only did it sound phenomenal, like I think that's one of the best sounding live records I've ever heard, but so much of the band's like personality is on that record, and then just like the fucking like 20 odd some tracks of just them riffing. It's such an awesome way to be like, this is the type of band that we are, and this is the type of music that we have. Like, what a great combination.
Right. So that's kind of my, in depth about Buddha, Dogs Eating Dogs, and the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. Robbie, do you have anything you want to add about those three?
With Buddha, like you said, there's like certain tracks that are also on Cheshire Cat, but like there's certain versions that I thought were better on Buddha. I think Toast and Bananas is on there. I think I like the version of Carousel, and they covered the Screeching Weasel song "Girl Next Door." And
Girl Next Door.
I was a huge Screeching Weasel fan growing up, and their version of it is really cool. They made it very Blink 182, so I think that's awesome. With Dogs Eating Dogs, like I like it so much better than Neighborhoods. and I thought the band was like onto something good, and then they just broke up again. So, but similar to like what you said, there's another EP from the early days. They Come to Conquer Uranus, and it's like an enjoyable listen though. There's like 3 tracks, and Rectum, and there's a version of Waggy that's on Dude Ranch, and I think it's a really good EP. Not many people know about it, but you guys probably do. But I really like that EP a lot too. So I just thought I mentioned those.
Yeah.
Do we all have honorable mentions or?
No, I was just going to have you guys talk a little bit about these EPs, the live album, before we actually went into our actual rankings.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I did make a little section. I took this live so seriously. Like, it was like, this was like a college thesis. I was like, I'm never going to get this chance again. Like, when will I have my moment? So I fucking went in. But if we're doing quick honorable mentions and like, certain songs aren't going to be on certain things, like I got to talk about Not Now. I love the cover, A Letter to Elise, like that. I know it's another just live track and probably couldn't be, spoken about in any other capacity, but I love that cover. And then something that I just wanted to carve a little time out for. I don't know where you guys stand with like the Matt era, but Not Another Christmas Song, I think is such an excellent track from the Matt era. I would say probably my favorite song, and that video is fantastic as well. So I had to mention that one.
I will say this before we actually get into our list, because I want to hear what Jason has to say about this stuff first, but there's a song from the Matt era that I personally believe is Blink-182's most, maybe not my favorite song, but the best song they ever wrote was a song during the Matt era. So I will say that, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but I don't think as low on the Matt era as a lot of other people do. And maybe it's because I grew up a huge Alkaline Trio fan, and this was like like the Marvel universe coming together. Like that was like, seeing Alkaline and Blink come together was dope for me. And I was really hoping when they got back together, they would leave Matt on and have 2 guitarists, and like Tom would sing the Tom shit and Matt would sing the Matt shit. I just thought that'd be cool. But they were just like, oh, hey, Tom's back. Hey, Matt, fuck off. See you later, bro.
Are you even in the band anymore?
Right.
Didn't I find out like, when everybody else did too?
Yeah, found out on Twitter.
He did. He said that too. He's like, I found out on social media that Tom was back and I wasn't. I was like, damn, that's fucking rough, dude.
They did him wrong, dude.
Yeah, they really did. So, you got anything to add about the EPs of the live record, Jason?
I got it. I'm doing this the whole time. The live album is my favorite album by them. Because I got introduced Dude Ranch, and I was just a kid and I didn't really know what I was listening to, and I knew that I kind of liked it, and then Enema came out and they blew up and they went nuts. But the live album was the opportunity to hear them do the old stuff the way that I feel like they wanted to. Yeah. Like no dig on Scott, no dig on what he went through. But I listened to it again yesterday, and I was just like, man, yeah, like Travis gets that version, and then Tom's guitar tone is unmatched for anything they ever did. Yeah, anything they ever did. It was just like so perfect. You could tell that Jerry gave him the tone, and then he took it to the concert, and they played it live, and it crushed.
That Seafoam Strat never sounded any better, man.
I knew nothing about guitars. I'm sure I'll get into this later. I had to have a Strat after hearing that. I didn't even know how to play guitar. I had to have a Strat. Didn't even know I needed like the signature with the humbucker and stuff. Dogs Eating Dogs, I really, really liked. We'll probably get into this too. My band played a show at a college the night that it came out, and I got locked out of the place we were staying, and everybody passed out. So I drove around this college for like 6 hours listening to just Dogs Eating Dogs until the sun came up and people started answering their phones. I loved that album, absolutely did. And then Buddha, Buddha's always just going to be special because like you got to listen to it on a cassette, and it was just like you could tell something was happening. You could get those little bits. So that's what I'm thinking.
Dude, absolutely. Am I frozen to you guys right now?
You were for a minute, but it stopped now.
Okay, good. Because on mine, I'm still frozen, so I'm just going to go with it anyway. So before we actually get into our top 9, I don't have a 9. So I'm just going to say that the newest record, One More Time, I'm leaving as undetermined. And the reason why I'm doing that is I haven't gotten to digest this record as much as I would have liked to before doing this. I was just so amped on it that I was like, guys, we got to do this right now. I want to talk about this shit. I want to do this with you guys. So that's why we did it so quick. But I will say, like, my two favorite tunes at the moment are probably going to be One More Time, just because the way it made me feel when I watched the video for the first time, and Bad News. I think Bad News is so good. Like, that song really makes me feel like like that angsty, Enema of the State, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, Mark, which was like my favorite era of Mark and the band. And so those are the two songs that I really dig off this record. So I guess I have to say it's number 9, but really it's more undecided, because I can tell you right now that there's many other songs that we're going to talk, or many other records we're going to talk about that I would put below this. But at this point, it's going to be undetermined. So before we actually get into everybody else's number 9s, I do want to catch up on the chat real quick. Man, my stuff is frozen, and I'm sorry. What is this? Diandra, Kaylee, and Ashley are sorely missed. She ain't lying. Bromance 182.
Nice. We start a band.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's call it
Thanks,
that.
Ad.
Robbie, we actually can, since we live in the same city.
Right.
Oh, we should, dude.
We will do a lot of talking about Dude Ranch. I promise you that.
Do we all play
Hey,
music?
what's up, Sass? Yep.
We all play guitar?
Yep.
Oh,
What's
wow.
up, Adrian?
I play a lot of instruments really badly.
Right.
There you go.
I don't play well. I just play.
So, how about you, Robbie? What would be your number 9?
For me, it was Neighborhoods. There's songs on there I like, but I don't know. It didn't have like the Blink feel to it. I don't know. I felt like the members at that time were like involved in other projects. And then when I found out how that album was made, they kind of just like recorded their own stuff separately and sent it in. And like, it shows. It showed to me, even though like, I think like, After Midnight is an awesome song. I think Wishing Well is an awesome song. I think Heart's All Gone is probably one of my favorite Mark songs. But like, as an album, it felt like, to me, like Tom was trying to bring in Little Angels and Airways stuff, and then like Mark was trying to keep the pop punk. So there were Tom songs and Mark songs, and I feel like they just didn't come together as much as I would like them to. And it's just a vibe mostly. So I put Neighborhoods. There's songs I like, but I don't like it as an album really. So
that's fair.
And like I said, Dogs Eating Dogs came out after, and I like that so much better. So
right. So what about you, Jason? What's your bottom of the list?
Number 9 for me is 9. We're gonna get that recurring theme. I loved Alkaline Trio growing up, and I loved Blink-182 growing up, and they did the right thing with Boxcar Racer, and they did the right thing with Plus 44, and they did the wrong thing with Skiba. Love them. The music that they wrote was great, but it's not Blink-182 to me.
Sure.
And like, I can't ever wrap my head around it. Plus, I'm not really a big fan of when John Feldman gets a hold of any band, like at all. Every time he gets a hold of them, they just go like so pop and so like just stripped down, and they lose all that edge. So everybody knows what I'm talking about. Like when these bands are young, like I think about All Time Low all the time. The EP in that first album, you could tell they were poor, they were sad, everything sucked, and then they got rich. And then all the writing changed, all the substance went away. And Feldman's a genius, but when he produces records for these big bands, I feel like that's what happens. He just interjects 4 really basic chords. So for me, like I re-listened to 9 even before this, and it was tough for me to pick out songs that I'm just like, yes, those are my like big Blink-182 songs. I sound like a total downer, but like that's just I guess I'm just, if it's Tom, I'm in. Like I don't know.
Right.
So my notes for this one were double no Tom. But I really Wish I Hated You and Hungover really stuck out to me. They felt kind of more like traditional Blink-182 songs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna be like that. I think is that like Skiba's a genius, Skiba's amazing, but it's not Blink to me.
Sure, and that's fair. I expected that for some of these lists. So, what about you, Mike? What would be your number 9?
So I want to preface by saying, like, I genuinely don't like outright hate any Blink album. Like, I love every single one of these records, but it is a list, so something does have to be last. And I agree with Jason. Like, for me, 9 is the album that comes in dead fucking last. There's some songs that are a real like schlep to get through for me. Like, I can't stand Happy Days. Me and my girlfriend, we make fun of that song all the time. Blame It on My Youth. I just can't get into that, even though there are tracks on there that I do love. Like, I wrote like same fucking I Really Wish I Hated You, Pin the Grenade, Hung Over You. I just listened to Heaven yesterday and I was like, Heaven isn't bad at all. Like, that's an enjoyable track. But overall, that is not my go-to album when it comes to these records.
Absolutely fair. So with these, it's going to be I'll enter. And we'll talk with the chat a little bit. And I didn't expect a horror channel to have a huge chat about Blink 182. But if you guys got anything you want to add in, please let us know, because I would love to get your opinions on stuff. So since mine was undetermined, my number 8, which is going to be my least favorite, is going to be Neighborhoods. And I feel the same way as you do, Michael. Like, there's not a Blink record that came out and I was like, this sucks.
This is trash. I hate it. Yeah. Right. It's just the feeling's not there.
Right. I could find a silver lining in every single one of these records. And on Neighborhoods, especially for me, it would be Ghost on the Dance Floor. There's just something powerful about that. I saw your ghost tonight line, just that line alone. And the very last chorus, when he says, I saw your ghost tonight, it fucking hurt like hell. Like, I think we can all relate to that when we've lost somebody. Mm-hmm. And I think Even If She Falls is a banger. Like, I fucking love Even If She Falls. Like, that is one of their catchier songs on that whole record. And this one thing I want to piggyback off what Robbie said, because I never really thought of it this way, and it's fucking genius the way you said it. This is the only record that I go into and I can really, before they even start vocalizing, I can go, this is a Mark track or this is a Tom track. Yeah. Like, this is the record where right away you know who wrote the song before you even listen to it. And I've always thought that, but I've never had a way to verbalize how I wanted to say it. So thank you, Robbie, for helping me out there. Like, this really is that record where when you're listening, there's that, definite like dissension of this is a Tom song, this is a Mark song. There was never that, hey, let's get together and write a tune. It's not like Feeling This, where, hey, let's go in a separate room, write a song and come together and see how it goes. And they just mesh well. This was, hey, I'm going to write this tune. You add your bass. This is what I wrote. You add some lead guitar to it. Travis, you're a fucking god. Just sit back there and do whatever the fuck it is you do. And we'll go from there. So I think that's really why this record is the lowest to me, because I feel like they did not, their hearts weren't in Neighborhoods, as even it was Dogs Eating Dogs. This was just like, hey, Travis was in a plane crash. We love each other again. Let's make a record, but we're all busy, so we'll do it from home. Like, that's how I feel about Neighborhoods. And that's the wrong way to go about making a record when there's no passion to go along with it. I think we all know as musicians that have toured and, played shows and made records, like, if it becomes a job, it fucking sucks. Like, when you start working in a band, you're fucking miserable. And I feel like Neighborhoods was them trying to go to work rather than them trying to really get back together and be in love again. So for me, Neighborhoods would be the bottom, but number 8. How about you, Robbie? What would your number 8 be?
My number 8 is California. I don't think it's a bad album. But I don't like it as a Blink 182 album. I thought Skiba was put in a hard position, man. This is like some goth punk rock guy in like a pop band, and I don't think he fit. I don't think he fit it though. Like, I don't think he's like upbeat and like chasing girls. He's not like, he doesn't write stuff like that. But so he was put in a very hard position, especially with a band that's been known for years. So I feel like he brought it and he did what he could and he did a good job. But like, if this was like a different project with a different name, I would think it was awesome. Like, if they called it something else other than Blink 182, I would think this is an amazing side project. But yeah, for me, it's California. It just wasn't Blink 182 to me. Because I think, to be honest with you, Skiba can sing, and Tom really can't, and that's his trademark. Like his whiny voice is not on this record at all. And
say it how it is.
We all know. We're all good with it.
Skiba can actually sing. The guy has like vocal ability, and like I'm putting this on to actually hear bad singing, similar to Rancid. Like I like the raspiness of Rancid, like, and Tom's whine was missed on this record, and but it's a good record, but it's not a good Blink record, and that's where I put it. So.
That's fair. I think I probably have that higher than almost everybody, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
She's Out of Her Mind. I think great tune. She's Out of Her Mind. I like Bored to Death. I like. There's a handful of songs I like, but I just don't like it as an album. So,
did you? That's another thing we should have talked about. Did you guys get the whole deluxe version with the whole second record on it?
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah,
they had like Parking Lot, Misery. Hey,
I think some of those songs are better than some of the stuff that are on the actual records. Like some of those are really, really good.
Good, because that's something that comes up when I talk about California. But how about your number 8, Jason?
I'm in complete agreement with Robbie. My notes say no Tom, but like it's so like where you were talking about Robbie, like his voice, you need that whininess. Skiba's voice is just too similar to Tom's. Like it's in the same register, and it just like you don't get that yin and yang back and forth, almost like positive tension, between the two of them. You don't get that. Skiba just kind of folds in. And when Bored to Death came out, I was like, okay, that's a catchy song. It's got a lot of Travis in it. It's got a pretty good riff, but when I listened to the rest of the album, it did exactly like what you guys are talking about. So I put Bored to Death, Left Alone, and The Only Thing That Matters that kind of jumped out to me. But still, just like when you listen to it, you see that name underneath, and it just doesn't hit the same way that the other ones do. So good album, just not for me, not for Blink.
See, and that's an argument I could definitely understand. It's not a Blink record. I completely get that. 100%. What's your number 8, Mike?
So I agree with a lot of what Rob said. What I will say for Skiba on this record, he has some powerful vocal moments that really like cause pause where it's like, fuck, this guy is a beautiful singer. Like it's great. It's great to hear with Blink. Like that pairing is awesome. And I walked away from California really, really happy with it. It is my number 8 as well. But I more often than not really enjoyed songs like Los Angeles. I love Sober. I think Home Is Such a Lonely Place Without You is such a pretty and beautiful moment on that record. San Diego, where Mark is talking about Tom and that whole situation, I thought that was awesome. Only Thing That Matters is great. Anytime that you could put in a Manson lyric about his paintings, I think it's really smart and fun. So I dug that a lot. That said, there are songs I fucking despise on this album as well. Like I can't get into She's Out of Her Mind. It's too like I don't even know how to describe it. It's awful. Kings of the Weekend is another one where it's like take that energy away from me. I don't want that. Stop doing that thing. I don't want it. And Bored to Death never really grasped me. So 8, that's the one for me.
Oh boy, you guys are not gonna like me soon. We do got B.O. Sledgehammer Music. Yes,
I laughed at
tonight,
that one.
at least. I absolutely love everything from Blink until after their self-titled album. That's again fair. Yes for Tom, love him. Hey,
this is so funny enough. We're all talking about like being in our former bands. This is the guitarist of my former band, and the way that we started our band was literally because my friend was like dating his brother, and I went to tag along so that way she had like a male with her. And so I just had to hang out with her brother, which ended up being Ready, Steady, Rocket right here. And we spent the entire time just covering Blink songs, and we've been best friends for like 20 years now. So fucking hey, Chris.
Love that.
Well, Chris, thank you for stopping out. We're glad you can make it out. It really means a lot. Thank you. I love Dark Side with Matt, but it's definitely not Blink without Tom. Okay.
Yeah.
What One place where I am gonna agree with you is my number 7 is 9. I felt like this was more just like, I don't know, it was just like a mopey record. Like this whole record was just like there was very few and far between upbeat songs. It was just mostly just like mid-tempo to lower tempo tunes, and I'm not used to that with Blink. That said, I adore Pin the Grenade. I think Pin the Grenade is so fucking good. That was the very first listen to that record. I listened to it all the way through, and I was just like, that's it. That's the one. That's the song on this record for me that is going to stand the test of time, and it certainly has. Just from the intro, Travis's drum line there in the intro, you're just like, okay, I'm ready. I'm fucking ready. Let's go. So yeah, 9 I think is probably the lowest besides Neighborhoods. Because I still felt like a connect between the band on this record, but it just, like I said, it was just so mopey and down in the dumps, and that's not what I listen for in a Blink record. So yeah, number 9 is number 7 for me. What about you, Robbie?
I put 9 also. Yeah, I like it better than California because I feel like I just felt the vibe more between Skiba and Mark and Travis and on this one than California. But again, like I don't like it. I just don't like it as a Blink album because I don't know. Skiba's great. I love Skiba, but like Tom's riffy stuff on his guitar, like he didn't have that like riffy sound over the power chords that Tom has. And that's one of my favorite things about Tom is the riffs he would throw in. And a lot of Skiba's riffs are kind of like minor sounding and not really upbeat. And I don't know, but 9 was dope though. I thought it was better than California. I like Heaven a lot. I like First Time. I thought that was a really good way to start the album. That was kind of like, it kind of had that Blink sound. It kind of did. And then I thought Dark Side was a good single. I really did. I thought that was a pretty good single. But again, not Blink, but I really feel like Skiba was doing the best he could. Being put in a tough situation, like being put in a really tough situation, because especially with their live shows, Tom has a very weird guitar style. He really does. He has like a tricky, riffy guitar style, and it's hard to like emulate that. And I feel like Matt was put in such a tough spot. He really was, and I thought it took some balls to do that. So I respect Skiba a lot for that. So. 9.
Yeah, that's totally acceptable. Well, what about you, Jason?
Cheshire Cat. I love this album. And I used to have like 8 copies of it. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. My mom kept finding them and throwing them away. But like when you listen to it over again, there's highlights. Like no one can deny Carousel, and I feel like they should have re-recorded Eminem's instead of putting it on a single in like '98 or whatever. And I liked Wasting Time as well. Like you could start to see that they were learning how to write songs, but they didn't really know how. And there's some that it's just like trudging through. Like I'll make it horror in Nightmare with the mashed potato stairs. Like you're just like, oh my God, I got to get through this next one. But this next one after that is amazing. But what I'll say, like always the highlight for me and what a Blink album has to have is secret comedy tracks, like every time. So finishing this off with throwing a dick down the stairs and like the quote from Airplane and just like the comedy stuff to me is almost what sells it more than anything. But that's where that's got to sit for me. But Carousel always.
Well, I guess that all depends. Undergarments.
Benoit balls, man.
Just about done with your butt. I'll let you know. So what about you, Michael? What's your number 7?
So me and Jason have like identical lists so far. Like I also go Cheshire Cat for the next one. I love this album. Again, like now I'm in the tiers of like I need all of these records, but because of the list, like it has to be somewhere. This is where it falls for me. There's just tracks on here that I love so much. Like I love Strings, Wasting Time, Touchdown Boy, like TV. Sometimes like there's such sweet, great songs on this that I just love. And also this is the first album that I got where it was like, oh, okay, maybe I don't just need to listen to like Good Charlotte and stuff. Like maybe I can start looking for like Bad Religion. Like maybe I could start listening to NoFX. Like maybe I could start like go to Op Ivy, and like it exposed me to more music and deeper stuff that they were playing with. So that's an important record for me, but that would be my 7.
Again, I can completely understand that. Oh, totally understood. Real quick, yes, I do love mopey emo music, my love, but I don't like it when I don't expect it. Okay, like stop calling me out here. We did a review of it on the channel. Check it out if you haven't seen it. We're very proud of that review. And yes, I liked that one as well. I won't go too deep into that because we didn't review it, but I do like it. So my number 6 is Cheshire Cat.
It's just that time.
I mean, like, dude, you cannot make it up. And of course you can't see it because I got the background on. But yeah, Cheshire Cat. M&M's. I love M&M's. I know that was a single off the record, but like, there's something about that. Like, even in when they did the song live when I was younger, and he used to say, buy some cigarettes, we'll get in my van, we'll hop in an airplane and fly to Afghanistan, instead of saying going to Madagascar and shit. Like, I just remember shit like that from seeing him live as a kid, and I thought that was the funniest shit in the world as a kid. And then Does My Breath Smell is like probably the song that introduced me to what emo is, you know, like, 'cause at the very beginning, who makes up all the rules about those girls I want? You know, I was like a little fucking 6th grader, like, yeah,
who does
girls.
make those rules? Tired of them laughing.
Right. I'm not complaining. It just hurts after a bit. So yeah,
so
like,
good.
Again,
so good.
Love this record, but like you said, when you're making a list, there has to be a top, there has to be a bottom, there has to be a middle. And Cheshire's right, like, you know, it's towards the bottom, but without any of these records, from here on, I probably wouldn't be the guy I am today. That's how big of an impact Blink 182 had on me. So here on, they're pretty much, to me, flawless. And there might be a couple tracks here and there that I didn't dig as much, but the 2 highlights off Cheshire Cat for me is Does My Breath Smell and M&M's. Those are the 2 that I think Depends, Benoit Balls. You know, those are fucking fantastic and amazing, but those are the ones for me that really hit the hardest. So number 6 for me, Cheshire Cat. What about you, Robbie?
I'm not even kidding. I have Cheshire Cat. We all named it, but I'll tell you a story. I heard Blink like really quick on like some like special on TV in like 97. And that year for Christmas, I'm like, Ma, I want that record for Christmas. And I wanted Dude Ranch. She brought home Cheshire Cat instead. So I was like, all right, I'll just check this out. I didn't know any of the songs, but I was totally into it. I like Carousel, M&M's, Wasting Time, sometimes, TV. And then they have the comedy songs, Benoit Balls. They have all those funny songs at the end. I really liked it. And before Blink, I was into Rancid, Green Day, the Ramones, bands like that. But instead of just power chords, I was hearing this guy do riffs over power chords, and that you don't really hear too much with punk bands. And so as a listener, I was like, what's he doing? And I was trying to figure it out. I was like, wait, what's he doing? Because they overdub a lot, and a lot of times like Travis or Scott or, you know, Mark, they're holding down the rhythm so tightly that like Tom's able to do like this riffy stuff and it's all over this record. And I really love this record. The only thing that's holding it back is the quality. Like the recording quality is kind of like, you know, it reminds me of like a punk band in like the mid 90s, like just in their garage recording something. Cause like, it's not like a high quality, like recording, but like the songs are there, dude. So I love Cheshire Cat, but this is where it ranks for me.
For sure. Real quick, we do got another member. I know you're still waiting on some videos to come in. I just want to let you know I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to see it. like I'm putting it together and like I'm editing it and I'm just feeling like so like happy doing it because like you guys care about us enough to become members of the channel, and it's a really cool thing to give back to you guys and say thank you for doing that for us. This is amazing. As someone who doesn't know much, the titles of these songs make me LOL. You should listen to them, Diandra. They'll make you LOL even more.
Diandra's not down with the Blink too.
Yeah,
we have a lot of similar tastes in music, but one of the things that we've had trouble with is like getting each other through discographies of music. So you'll see it in a second. I'm one of those vinyl guys, or at least I like really was for a couple of years. So she literally held off on those because we're like, no, we're gonna listen to it the right way, you know, like lame. So it's my fault. I'll introduce her, I promise.
Thank you for your super chat. We really appreciate you supporting the channel. So let's talk. How's that for a slice of fried gold?
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, boy.
I had some really gnarly shit go down. I don't want to talk about it on here because we're not one of those sympathy people, but thank you. That means a lot. Check your bank statements every day, ladies and gentlemen. Jason, you want to give us your number 6?
This is going to be controversial. I can't believe I'm doing it, but I'm going Dude Ranch.
That hurts.
I know. I had spent a lot of time since we started talking about this, listening to these albums. And what I was going for is like, what sticks with me? What would I never skip? What like started to impact me more? And Dude Ranch is incredible. But yeah, when you look at this list, you're like, I gotta break it down somewhere. And Robbie, similar to what you were talking about, like how the production value of Cheshire Cat isn't the greatest. Mm-hmm. For me, Dude Ranch is like when they really started to learn songs. And I can't remember where I heard it. It was either like Urethra Chronicles or something where they were talking about that when they wrote Damn It, that's when they figured it out. When they had a hook on the end of the chorus that brought you back into the rest of the song. And you can hear a lot of those. There's like half the album they knew how to write a song, and then the other half they were like still figuring it out. So that's why I like Mark, Tom, and Travis show so much, because like you get that Travis interpretation, they fix some things. But like Damn It, everyone has to have that as like one of the songs on the list. Enthused was big for me, but like my favorite by far is Josie. That is my favorite music video from them. Like getting Alyssa Milano in the 90s to be in that music video, and it's so freaking funny. And like my signature is on the wall in the bathroom of the Sombrero restaurant in San Diego because of that.
That's
song.
Amazing.
Like
That's awesome.
We were on tour and we're like, we have to go. So we found the right restaurant. We knew it was the right restaurant because as soon as you opened the door, they had a cork board on the wall with pictures of Blink every time they've shown up. And that's all we thought, you know, like we go up, we order food, and I went to the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God, like every inch of the wall was covered in signatures of people that had been there. So I got to sign on that wall, but
how's the food?
Josie, I was fine. You know, you know, if you brought it to me just because, I'd be like, oh, thanks. But
I think Tom said it's like the best Mexican ever, but I don't. He said that in an interview, but
it was good. You know, it was good, but
right.
I don't know. It was just the experience and then like knowing that they did all that and that was so important to them. It made it worth it. But so you can tell this is hard for me because I have all these great stories and I love Dude Ranch, but there's other albums, I guess.
So that was your number 6 was Dude Ranch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you the way that you are?
Considering it's the first album I got from them, here, look, I did it. I got the CD too. Like, I love this song.
Like I said, that's you know, like every list has to have a top and bottom, so I completely understand. Yep. What's number 6 for you, Mike?
Dude Ranch as well.
Bottom row boys.
Yeah, what can I say?
Fight my shiny metal ass.
What can I say? I love this album though. Like there's the standouts for me are obviously Josie. That would be top 5 Blink songs of all time. Love Josie, love Dick Lips, love Apple Shampoo, A New Hope. Like these are just the best songs for me. Like I love them. But it's also like the album that got me into Blink. Like I loved Can't Hardly Wait. Like that movie, I'm such a sap for Can't Hardly Wait. I love that movie. And Damn It is in Can't Hardly Wait. And I was just at that age where like you start watching movies and you're like, wait a minute, I can fucking find out about songs from movies too, man. And I learned about Damn It. I learned about Blink-182. So that's what pulled me in. But just as far as these records go, that is where I would put Dude Ranch. Because the other ones, they're my Blink, you know?
Right. No, and that's totally, and we'll talk more about Can't Hardly Wait and something else here in a little bit. But my favorite band, my favorite album is Neighborhoods, a very underrated album. I'm having a blast with the new album also. I love the new record. I think it's so good. I'm glad you have a lot of love for Neighborhoods. Like I said at the beginning, I think it has really good songs on it. Ghost on the Dance Floor, Heart's All Gone, Even If She Falls, Wishing Well. They're all amazing songs. It's just the disconnect is what holds it back a little bit for me. And I can't even lie. That's my favorite song on Dude Ranch. I swear to God.
Lemmings, yeah.
Love that fucking song, man. So good. But throw up to number 5. My number 5 is California. Like I said, I have it a little higher than everybody else. And something I want to say, because nobody mentioned this song. And when you were like, there's songs on this record that I absolutely fucking hate, I was like, oh, please don't say it. Please don't fucking say it. I think that No Future is the best overall song Blink-182 has ever written. When it comes to like how solid the track is, how catchy the track is, how fucking intelligent Travis's drums are throughout that first opening verse. It's just when it comes to being a solid written and recorded song, No Future's towards the top for me. And there's just so much. San Diego's great, and even the songs on the B sides, if you want to say like "Hey, I'm Sorry," I think is a great song. Yeah. But I'm with you. There's songs on this that like I did not dig Teenage Satellites at all. I was like, dude, you're 40. Stop.
Yes, that's the thing. Stop trying to be a kid.
You know. Like so like I didn't like that tune. I really didn't like that but she's out of her mind. That song. I didn't like that one either.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
There's just something about that song that annoyed the piss out of me. But like I said, No Future, even like when Matt is singing in the bridge, the Where Did She Go? And his voice cracks at that. And what did she hope to, like that almost like I hate to say emo because I hate that fucking word, but the really emotional outburst that he has when he's singing that part of that song is just flawless to me. So I'm going to say number 5 is California. How about you, Robbie? What's your number 5?
Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. It's a great record. It's actually like really well produced, and the guitars and the drums sound awesome. Probably one of their best like sounding records, but I don't know. And it's very fun to play along to. I would always play guitar along with these tracks, but I don't know. Just the writing to me I like the other albums a little better as far as songwriting goes. I mean, and it was kind of like the lyrics got kind of serious. There's not a lot of, other than like Happy Holidays, You Bastard, there isn't a lot of like joke around songs on this album at all. And they got kind of serious and a little different, and almost like a little bit heavier too. They got on this album, and it was just like a different kind of Blink. I like the album. There's some great stuff on it, but I just like the other album's a little better. So Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
All right. So how about you, Jason? What comes in at number 5 for you?
I'm going Neighborhoods. For a lot of the reasons that you guys said, to be honest. I was talking about that, like, you know, when bands are like poor or they're struggling, they're always better. And that's actually why I like this album, is I liked that tension in between them. And like I feel like when I was growing up listening to them, I used to play the game like who wrote it. You know, like did Mark write this one? Did Tom write this one? And that's what was kind of cool, is you could feel that tension. Then you could feel those couple that they really kind of like fell in and they had it. So After Midnight for me, that's just like, that might be top 10. Like I don't know. It's describing a lot of things that I feel like we've all been through, or we've all been there, or had those different feelings. Wishing Well, and then for me, Snake Charmer was like
that's a good
not
one.
characteristic of them at all. It was like a lot more like heavy, vulgar, like stuff that you didn't expect from 2011 Blink. You know, you would have expected it like a ripped track off of Untitled or something. But Neighborhoods, I really like. The first 2/3 is awesome, and then when you get to that, whichever one, the like MH04, like the track that Mark wrote in April, you know, that they couldn't even bother to title it. After that, I'm just like, all right, they're just like throwing shit. Like this isn't, the rest of this isn't an album. They're like, this is the last email that they sent. They had a couple tracks, you know. So I couldn't give it more, but like it stuck with me more in my whole life than Dude Ranch did, for instance. So
that's fair.
That's where it sits.
No, I can't argue that either. I think it's just the disconnect for me, because I don't think there's really a song on this record where I'm like, oh, this song sucks. You know, it's just like they just flow less to me. Michael, I swear to God, if you say it,
bottom of my voice.
so this is our deviation. This is where we split. This is it. This is the moment. For me, the next album is One More Time. Like I love this record. Love this record. It's where it falls compared to the other records on this. Like you said, Ken, like I love Bad News. It is my favorite track on this record. It's so good. But I love Blink Wave, Fell in Love, One More Time. You Don't Know What You Got really like grew on me. The more I hear it, the more I really like that. And then Childhood, man. Like when I first heard Childhood, I was like, all right, that's cool. That's different. But then as I kept playing that record through, like I love it. Like I look forward to it. I think I like this album so much because what you hear a lot with Blink is the critique is like, well, these guys are like 40, like they're too old to be doing this and that. And I think on this album, they were like, we are 40 and we will talk about our childhood. Instead of like, we're going to do childish things. It's like, we're going to talk about what it was like to be a kid. And I really dug that because I'm not a kid anymore. So I couldn't have been happier with this album. For where they are. And if this is their, you know, neighborhoods, if this is their coming back together and figuring out how to play again, I'm so stoked for the future and what they're going to bring. So I would go One More Time for this one.
Which is, again, I think this is about where I would put One More Time at this point. But I want to let it digest a little more before I'm just like, yep, it's this one. So that's why I wanted to, you know, there's very little on this record that I'm like, turpentine, tine, whichever one you want to say. Number 4 for me is Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. I do want to say these next 4 records, that they 100% created Kenny Sledge, not Ken Sledge, who I am today, but Kenny Sledge, the 13, 14, 15-year-old who used to run around everybody's house naked and want to be like the dudes in What's My Age Again. True story. I put this on Everything I Love. I was at my buddy Justin's house and I was naked all the time. Everywhere I went, always naked, always dick hanging. And I was running through his house naked and I didn't know his dad was home. And I ran out in the living room and Terry was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, and he was like, "Cover her up or I'm going to rip it off." And I was like, "You're just jealous." And then he got up and started chasing me. I was like, "Stop, I'm naked." But yeah, Justin was like my best friend growing up. His parents were like my parents. And it ended up being a really funny moment we told up until the day he passed. And so Take Off Your Pants, Give Me One Good Reason, was that song. Because this record came out when I was freshman, 8th grade maybe. And, you know, that was, you know, I was the punk rock kid in a town, Sand Creek. I was one of maybe 5 punk rock kids. And that's how we felt, you know, fuck everybody else. We're the ones that deserve to be the punk rock kids. We're the ones that deserve the world. So it's just like, it was very hard to not fall in love with that. And then Story of a Lonely Guy was another one that I just really fell in love with. Like, even like the when you get the little, I like that little 50s do 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 at the end of that chorus when you have that pinky little hammer on at the end of that. That was something that was totally new and unique to me for Blink. So that was something that I really loved. And again, on this record, the only song I never really got into was Roller Coaster. I don't know what it was. There was just something about that song that I didn't dig. And I talked about, Give Me One Good Reason and Story of a Lonely Guy. But to me, hands down, bar none, the best song on this record was Time to Break Up. And it was only on one fucking copy of the record that you could get. But Time to Break Up for me was just such a dope song. So, number 4 for me, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. How about you, Robbie?
I want to add something to Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, though. Do you guys remember when that got released? There was 3 different versions, and each one had a different secret song.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is before like YouTube, and like you couldn't just look it up. We had to like buy like we had to buy the records or like So I remember like the secret songs were like always cool to track down, and like so
it was the Stoplight, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a red one, a green one, and there was a yellow CD. I remember that.
I literally had them all on my wall as a stop sign.
That's cool.
Like
I love that.
Yeah. So
that was
a stoplight, not a stop sign.
I was way too young. I was way too young to convince my like parents to like try and get me all 3 albums. So I was a big LimeWire guy. I found my way to those songs. But like
computer hated you.
I remember waiting all day just to get like a song downloaded because it took so long. I remember the next 2 days. It was like I checked back like 2 hours later to have like a quarter of the song done. But that was pretty cool for back then though, like releasing everything like with a different secret song. I thought that was pretty cool. So all right, coming up next for me though is Enema of the State. Like this album was
everyone's like, whoa.
Spicy. Where's this going?
But this album was huge. Like this is when 12-year-old girls knew who Blink was. They were all over TV, they were all over the radio, and Ken touched to it a minute ago. I made friends with the only 3 or 4 skateboarding kids in my school, and the rest were all preppy kids, and we were like, this is our music. So when people started listening to them, I was it bothered me, but I can't hate the record's awesome. It's a solid record all the way through. It kind of you don't switch tracks when you're listening to Enema of the State. It's an awesome record. There's not too many joke songs, but I think it's a good record. I do. And Tom's riffy stuff is up there, but that's always what I listen for. Tom's guitar playing always stands out to me. And Enema of the State is awesome. The cover with the porno lady.
Oh yeah.
I forgot her name, Janine something. But I just love everything about that. When you look, and back in the day too, there was artwork. You look through the lyric sheet, and it was hilarious. They were in their boxer shorts, and
all the different times you could try to find them in the lineup.
Yeah, it was funny as hell.
Genius.
Yeah. All right,
So,
Jason, what about you? What's your number 4?
One more time. I just went for it. Just send it. This album, I feel like reinvigorated my love for the band. I've not really loved them for 10 years. I did, but anything that came out, I was like, whatever.
Right.
I didn't even listen to 9 completely until you said that we were going to do this. And you guys can see it. I'm Blink crazy. Just couldn't do it. It was just so different. But One More Time was just third time's a charm. They tried to come back with Neighborhoods, didn't work. Tried to come back with Dogs Eating Dogs, didn't work. And this time they got it. Because it's their sound again, it's their energy again, it's their jokes again. It just felt like, we just waited 10 years and we got something. But highlights for me, Terrified is, Ken, we were joking about this. It's what if Boxcar Racer, what if Blink-182 wrote a Boxcar Racer song? So it's or Boxcar Racer featuring Mark. It's fantastic. My childhood, every time I listen to it. I can't
it's
wait.
So good.
That weird note that Tom hits in the chorus where he goes down. Like, oh my God. I love that. And it's such a weird song. It is not a typical Blink-182 song. And then One More Time. Definitely. I was just going to like put a revolving, because you can do video backgrounds now. I was just going to put the revolving background of that. Ken sent it to me because like I wasn't even paying attention. He goes, listen to this now. I'm like, all right. I listened to it. I'm like, oh, this is like they do a new version of Adam's song like every album. You know, like,
right.
This is kind of that. But for all of us that it seems like kind of got into the band at the same time, that was like so nostalgic. I think we all deserved it. Like you guys were talking about it. It was time to grow up. Like they finally grew up with their fans with that song, and they recognized it. And that's easily top 10 Blink song for me. I could listen to that over and over again. And something that nobody talks about is I just like that little bit where Travis sings at the end. You know,
amazing.
You know, there was like years where you're like, does he talk? You know, and then he sings those couple bits in the end. And then the last thing about this too is that you could tell that Feldman wasn't even close to it. Like it was Mark and Travis truly producing this. I know they had other help, but like the drums were heavy because Travis was producing it. You know, and like it I don't know. It really, really stuck out to me, and it felt good, and it really got me back into them. So this is an important album for me, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I can't argue with that. Like I said, I want to revisit it in a year and see where I'm at with it, you know? So what about you, Mike? What's your number 4?
So Neighborhoods is showing up for me at my number. What is this, 4?
Yeah.
And my number 4 spot is Neighborhoods. I can't disagree with you guys. Like it absolutely, that like Frankenstein, like you do this part, you do that part, and then we'll put it together thing is super present on this album. And that's just not Blink. The fun of Blink is 3 dudes together joking and making songs. Like that is the essence that we all love. Now all that said, I adore this album. Like I love Ghosts on the Dance Floor, Snake Charmer, Wishing Well, Kaleidoscope, MH41. I love this album, and I'm a big Cure fan too. And so the Cure influence that you always see kind of like bubble up in Blink, I think is really strong on this album. So if you dig that Cure essence of Blink-182, I think it's so here on Neighborhood. So I always enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And again, I think I'm gonna have to go back and revisit this record because I haven't listened to it in a long time, just for the sheer fact that I remember I probably listened to it a year ago. But this is just the one that I always like. If I want to listen to Blink, this is never the one where I'm like, I got to throw on Neighborhoods. So I think that's why it's just a little lower to me. I love this. Jason's mustache is giving him courage.
So much of the power is derived from right here.
Jason is being a Blink-182 cover band in his Twitter bio.
It was gonna come up.
Right. Hey, what's up, Joe? I can't wait for it either, man. It's gonna be a great time. All right, so we are now at our silver medal. Mine is self-titled. My number 3 is self-titled. And I'm even going to go a little bit farther. I hated this record when it came out. Like when the first time I heard this record, I had skipped school in my 94 GMC Jimmy, and I went to Sam Goody. And I bought this record, and it ruined my day. I remember I just drove around listening to it, and I was so fucking bummed with this record. I was just like, this isn't a punk rock record. I shallow mind at the time, and then like I kept listening to it, and every listen I would, something would grow on me, and still not into like all the interludes and shit they did on the record still to this day. But if we were ranking their best records, this would probably be number 1 to me. In just sheer like musicianship and experimentation and solid, songwriting, I think this would probably be number 1. But like when it comes to like the actual record itself, like I think Easy Target is so dope. I think I'm Lost Without You is probably their best closing track on any record. I've always been really, really into that song. Of all their singles, I actually think Always is the best single. I know people would argue about, Feeling This, I Miss You, Down, but Always was always that was my favorite single off the record. And then to have Robert Smith singing on a track, I just remember seeing that when the track listing came out and it was like, Mark came that day. Like when that went through, Mark was like, my life is complete, so that was something that I thought was really super dope. But again, like when I first heard this record, the only songs I really liked were like Go, Easy Target, because that's what I was, that's where I was in my life, was I was ready for another punk rock record. And this was their first record where I was just like, there's not a lot of hints of punk rock. There's a lot more experimentation, and there's really a lot more, there's no silliness to it really at all. So it just really, when I first listened to it, it threw me off because it was the total polar opposite of what I was used to. And at the time, all I had heard was Action, as we called it back then, which later turned into Feeling This. And so as I'm listening to, even hearing Feeling This, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. This is cool. It's about fucking. I like it. I can get into it. And then I heard the rest of the record and I was like, what happened? I remember the first time I heard, why can't I think of the name of the song now? Obvious. I was like, oh, this sounds almost new metal because I was shallow brain. They started with an open riff, and I was like, oh fuck, it's new metal. They got infected by the corn. So it was just like, obviously as I've grown, it's my third favorite. It's my third favorite record. So obviously, it's my perception of the record has changed a lot. But yeah, when I first heard it, I hated I Miss You the first time I heard it. Hated it. I was like, I did. I was like, Travis's drums are lazy as fuck in the song because it's really just that sample, just that loop. Then you hear it live.
I have to agree with you.
If you had a drum kit, you were in that room right away figuring that thing out. My brother and I were perfecting that for hours.
That's all it is throughout the whole song. It's just that loop. And I was like, this is not, does not sound like a fucking Blink song to me at that time. I go back and listen now, and that's the perfect thing they could have done for that record. And then, like I said, when you hear it live and Travis adds all his ad-lib shit into it, it's so sick. Yeah. So sick. But at the time, I was like, Travis, you sold out. You know what I mean? Like, you did a loop through the whole song. But
you're the first person. You're the first person that's ever mirrored my feelings on, like, I love I Miss You Now, but I couldn't stand the song when I first heard it. Like first exposure to it, I was like, I wasn't having it. Like, I did not accept it right away. So it's cool to meet another individual in my life who felt the same way.
Right. Well, I felt that way because I felt like a lot of their lyric stuff was very like weak on the record the first time too. Like throughout Feeling This, all you get is, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. And then I Miss You, it's just miss you. I was like, come on, guys. You can repeat more than 2 words in a chorus, man. But again, they did what was smart at the time, and they made a fucking great. This is probably their least punk rock record, I would say, on the list, which also kind of makes it the most punk rock record on this list. This is kind of like when Green Day released Time of Your Life as a single. I remember, Billy Joel talking about it, and they were like, we were trying to think what's the most punk rock thing we can do at this moment. And the most punk rock thing, let's just make the song a fucking single. And I feel like that's what Blink did. Like, what's the most punk rock thing we can do? Let's fucking trick everybody with the record we're about to make and just make a real decent, great record and not worry about being punk rock or funny or appealing to the masses. Let's do what we're feeling in our hearts right now. And it definitely stood the test of time for me. So number 3 for me is Self-Titled. What about you, Rob?
It's an interesting segue because you said that's the least punk album. To me, like this one is the most punk to me. Dude Ranch. To me, this captures like a 90s band, a punk band, like in their garage. I mean, and Travis Barker is one of the greatest drummers of our generation, but I have some love for Scott Raynor. The way he would just drum, it like totally fit with Dude Ranch. He just like the way he would just like he was more straightforward with it. And they captured like the 90s punk sound and the skateboarding feeling and everything on this album. I love Tom's riffy stuff. They overdubbed a lot of stuff over power chords. There's a lot to that record if you listen to it. Someone mentioned Lemmings before. There's a lot like riffy stuff going on in Lemmings. I'm Sorry, Pathetic, Damn It, of course. Boring, really cool guitar riff on Boring. I really like playing that. To me, it's a solid record. And to me, it's the most punk sounding Blink record there is. I mean, they really sound like a 90s punk band, like on Warped Tour or something, you know, like it's very punk to me. And it was like, it just reminds me of the 90s. It really does. I love Dude Ranch.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Can't argue with that. I haven't talked about it yet. So what about you, Jason? What's your number 3?
Ooh. Enema of the State.
Nice.
Wait. I have literally 6 copies of this. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. In fact, some of them they don't even have a CD in them anymore. My mom would not let me listen to this stuff, but I was very insistent on going to CD Connection and buying it again. Ken, you said you took your 94 Jimmy. I took my 95 S10. So what's up? We knew what was up. So Enema. I feel like this is truly where they got that like Blink sound that everyone looks at. Putting them with Jerry Finn, putting them with a really, really good producer, I think was huge. Adding Travis, I think, helped them open up. Because, Robbie, you're right. Like, Scott's drumming was perfect for what it was and, like, where it was. But they were never going to be this band with him.
Yeah, true.
Not because of the other stuff, just because, like, the other two were too talented for him. You know, like, Travis was, like, filled in that spot for me. Where then they could open up, they could experiment, they could try new things instead of just playing 4 on the floor like constantly. You know what I mean? Exactly. And Mike, you were talking about like this is when, or I think you said, Mike, like when 12-year-old girls knew about him and like it was just huge. But they still had some really, really good songs. Like opening with Dumpweed for me, that's just huge song, and we kept talking about all the different riffy things. That has one of the best riffs over anything. And then the legacy of Anthem for me is just crazy. The fact that we just got a third one. 24 years later, we got another Anthem is amazing. And then I got to shout out Aliens Exist because they do. But like it only took like 20 years and Tom finally got to be like, told you so. But I will say that song pissed me off so much trying to palm mute and learn how to play it right. Yeah. Because that was that first one. Even if you liked punk where you had to go up and down, like you couldn't get around just doing the single palm muting, your hand get too tired, and the whole time you're like, how does Tom do this? That song pissed me off so bad. But I absolutely love the album. We were talking about the artwork. Like this was a moment in time, like that people look back on and be like, "Damn, that was a big deal," And we can't talk about this genre doing that very often. So, Enema of the State, it's just awesome.
And I again, I haven't talked about it yet. So,
yep.
What's your number 3, Mike?
I'm paralleling Jason again here. I got Enema at number 3. Got it at number 3. I love this album. This is you can't skip a single song on this record. Standouts for me, Don't Leave Me, Going Away to College. I can't count how many times I've been like, all right, I'm gonna get every single lyric to Party Song and I'm gonna get it right, and this is gonna be the day. And to this day, I still can't sing that song flawlessly. Like
how about when you discovered Mark talking at the beginning? What he's like,
yeah. How many times did I have to rewind?
Cranked it. I'm like, guys.
You gotta listen close, man. You gotta listen like really fucking close. But he says,
you motherfuckers.
Like, you gotta listen. You gotta listen. Like you talked. You missed it so many times. Just that, and then like again talking about like the album art on this, I've had that sprawl across like so many doorways in my life. Like just it's such a perfect Blink 182 record.
Yeah, I
agree.
So, and I also, I mean, I like them. I wouldn't say like I'm like super in love with them, but I think they're
they're good.
I've been listening to a lot of like obviously the new Blink, and I'm really digging the new Taking Back Sunday record. I'm really high on that right now too. I can't. Every time Green Day releases a new record, I'm gonna listen. But yeah, as of right now, they're just okay.
I'm into the new stuff though. I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, you know her, right?
Okay, so there's my girlfriend, and she's trying to start a fight right now because we're living in a house divided. Because she is a self-titled person, and I'm an untitled person. So what is it for you guys? Like, do you refer to this as? Ken, I already heard you describe it as self-titled. I clocked you. You're one of them. But Rob and Jason, where do you guys fall on this?
No, it's self-titled.
Oh no!
It's no, the name of the album is Blink-182. It's self-titled.
I want to be Bottom Row Boys, but it's interchangeable, dude. I use it both.
What are you guys doing? This is my life. I have to go back to this.
I'm on both teams.
You got to make a choice, Jason.
She's gonna love this.
Okay. If I had to make a choice, I would go untitled because everywhere that I see it, that's in parentheses says untitled. Okay. And maybe I'm purposely being.
That's the official name?
I think.
So, okay.
Let me go to their Wikipedia here.
Full dossier. Like, I've gotten evidence. All three members of the band call it untitled. Thus, I feel like I should call it untitled as well. So that's my argument in it.
I'm down for this too, Diandra.
Mm-hmm. Wait, the album was called Blink-182, though. It's self-titled. That's a fact.
But they call it untitled. She's gonna glow. Oh my God, she's gonna glow.
I like how we're fighting more about an album title than the album orders.
Well, I have now changed.
You guys can have your opinions.
I've now changed my title to self-titled Sledge, so I'm sticking with it. Okay, I'm staying with it. So,
oh man,
my number 2, it's Dude Ranch.
Hell yeah.
Now I gotta say, like, I remember Can't Hardly Wait, and hearing Dude Ranch on there, and here's a little 6 degrees of Blink-182 into horror. I went to watch a horror movie in the theater because Tom DeLonge had a small role in this movie, and that movie was Idle Hands.
Oh my God.
Tom DeLonge is the guy at the window when Devin Sawa runs in and he's like, break time. And Tom DeLonge's the guy that turns around and he's like, all right. And then he walks away. Like, that's and Blink was talking about that. And I was like, I gotta watch this movie. So I went to the theater and I watched it. I'm watching for Tom. And then finally I see it. I was like, oh, it's fucking Tom. And it's still like bleach blonde Tom, so I thought that was, amazing. And like, speaking of which, Idle Hands has like one of the best soundtracks of all time. But like with this record, I just remember like this was the first record I ever bought where like I bought the CD, I put it in at night, and I would just lay in my bed and I would hold the lyric book up and read every lyric along with the song.
I did that so much.
Yeah, and like that was Dude Ranch to me. And my like my two favorite songs.
See how crinkled this is.
Yeah, I totally did, man. Just sitting there, like reading every single lyric to every single song over and over and over. And Lemmings is up there. Oh my God, that's fucking beautiful. And my favorite, and this would honestly go down as probably my number 1 favorite Blink-182 song of all time, would be Apple Shampoo. I don't think Mark will ever top that song. I think that is it's a perfect song. The rhyming structure, the vocal structure, the riffs that Tom uses throughout the verse and the chorus. I think that is, in my opinion, if not my favorite Blink song, my favorite Mark song. And it's weird. The older I've gotten, the more I've gravitated to Mark's music. As a kid, I was like, I like Tom because I play the guitar, but now I'm older. I'm like, man, they're just both so good at what they do. And they're still showing it today, how amazing they truly are. So, my number 2 is Dude Ranch with the main my two favorites. I love the whole record from beginning to end. This is another one that I do not skip a song every time it's on. But the two highlights for me personally are Apple Shampoo and Lemmings. So, yeah, that's my number two. What about you, Rob?
My number 2 is One More Time, the new album.
Wow.
I just think, dude, I think it's. The first time I heard it, I was so impressed, and it's been on repeat ever since I got it. And I feel like we were all talking about Neighborhoods before, how they had all these different projects going on. They tried to bring it together, but I feel like they brought stuff together now, and it completely worked. Jason brought up before, Terrified is a Boxcar Racer song. Absolutely. That was, you took the words out of my mouth, bro. I feel like there's Mark's songs, but I feel like Tom is like in it with him now. And I feel like, there's certain tracks on it where Tom's messing around with that delay pedal, the very Angels and Airways, So I feel like and Travis's drumming's like, he's like a machine, dude. It's crazy. So I just love it. These guys blew me away like years later. I love it. I'm Terrified, Turpentine, Bad News. Those things, sorry, Ken, but I dig that. Yeah.
No,
it's just very impressive album. I just think it's great they're back, and I love the album. And I think years from now it will be appreciated a lot more. So I think we'll look back, like you said, and be like, damn,
And again, that's why I didn't want to prematurely put it lower on here than I would. So that's why I want to go all out and listen to it. So
it's a very mature album, but Tom's like talking about masturbation in that dance song too. So they kind of were still Blink. So,
honestly, that's one of my least favorite parts of the whole record. I'm like, why? What's the point of that? What are you doing? What are you doing?
With the video, they were playing tribute to the Ramones.
That was dope.
Yeah,
no, I mean, I love that song. I absolutely adore the song. I just hate the beginning. When I teach masturbation, I'm like, get into it. I'm like, what? Stop it. No, that's a bad Tom.
That's why
that's a bad Tom. But again, I really think if I was ranking this record, it would easily be top 4.
Aren't there certain lyrics about Mark getting sick? Because like he struggled with cancer. Like there's certain lyrics where I think he's touching on what he went through.
Oh yeah,
like,
more than you know. Yeah,
dude, it's a personal record. They still made it fun. They brought all these styles together. I really think they killed it. And I think but to Ken's point, I think we need more time to take it in. So, but I put it here, number 2.
Bad News is my favorite song on the record. My favorite moment on the whole record is in Anthem Part 3 when Mark, pretty much screams that no one gave a fuck that you died. Like, I feel like that's probably the most personal thing he's ever said, because he went through that moment where he legit thought he might die, and he just, accepting your own mortality at that point. That's that. When I first heard that, it gave me like the One More Time goosebumps. And then more than
too. I thought that was a great way to start the album. Like with that riffy stuff that I love. They started Anthem 3 is great. It's a great way to start the album. So
I'll say this: it's my second favorite anthem. I'll leave it at that. So how about you, Jason? What's your number 2?
This one. I'm not getting in the fight anymore. Self or Untitled. This titled album, whatever. So this one for me, like it's I feel like it's their best writing. Like Ken, you said it earlier, it might be like technically the best album.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but it's right there. They proved it 3 albums in a row that they were the biggest band doing what they were doing in the world, and that they were consistent. Obviously, the irony there of them like completely falling off the tracks is hilarious. But like just so many incredible songs, and they really did experiment a lot. I don't care. I love Down. And I'm Lost Without You. You totally nailed it. Is like a great exit. Just really, really powerful song. But I have to confess something. I lived overseas when I was little, so I didn't always get introduced to every bit of music, right? And then my dad was like very specific on the music that he listened to. And I grew up like religious to where like I couldn't always listen to things. When I first heard all of this with Robert Smith, I was like, what's Mark doing with his voice? And I will always forever be embarrassed that I thought Mark was doing a Robert Smith impression.
But he's doing a really bad job trying to sound like the guy from The
He
Cure.
sounds strange. But like that album was just huge, and like it was cool to be that age that like they were literally making it for you. Was awesome. And then it was also cool to watch all the bandwagon fans that weren't there for Dude Ranch, jumped on during Enema, kept going when Rock Show came out and stuff, and dropped off because like this isn't Blank. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's just the next part. I loved it. And this album's special too. This one you couldn't get this anywhere, so I had to order it from the UK, and it somehow came in pristine. Love it.
Is that the one that has Not Now on it?
No, that's the greatest hit.
No, it's the greatest hit.
Hit. Yeah.
I don't think it does.
Oh yeah, Another Girl on the Planet's another great tune off the Greatest Hits album. I think that's
Dude, yes, that only so good, man.
I wanted to
I'm
mention
glad that came up. I have like that in my notes too, man.
Dude. Yeah. No, like it's a cover, but like what they did with it was amazing. I was like, holy crap, they made it so Blink 182.
The Only Ones version is awesome. It's great. You can listen to it, but then when you listen to Blink's version, it's on fire.
It's amazing, dude. That's one of my favorite, probably my favorite cover they did, probably.
Right. Well, Mike, what's number 2 for you?
So number 2 is the Untitled album, of course. Untitled. And I see that comment, like she's fucking, I told you she'd glue, and like I knew that she would. And there it is. And it's gonna be worse later. Like it's gonna be like a month of this. Like I know it already. But I was so mesmerized by this album. I was so like I was so content. Like I thought it was so cool seeing the smiley. Like it's the first tattoo I ever got. Like nice. I love this record so much. Always is maybe my favorite Blink-182 song of all time. Again, that Cure influence coming in, and then having Robert Smith on it. There's so many like dope moments on this record. Violence Down, like just I couldn't be happier with it, and I'm so glad that it exists. And you just said a great thing, Jason, where you were like, you rocked with us through Dude Ranch and then Enema and then Takeoff, and now this is the next thing. Like this is where we're at, and I was so ready for it. And musically, I was expanding in that direction anyway. So it just felt like they were so parallel with me. So I love Untitled. That's my number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot something. Do you remember they put that in Madden? Madden 03. Did anybody play sports like video games?
It was
Feeling
Action.
This was in Madden.
Yeah,
that's exactly why they called it Action. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember hearing that when Madden came out, and like my brother and I, that was one of the video games we played. You could adjust your track listing, and we just made that play just over and over and over. So we'd play Madden for like 3 hours and just listen to Action. Sorry, I had to interject that. That was
Action, Feeling This, whatever you want to call it, like that just feels good. Like it's the only song that I've ever like requested on the radio. Like I remember calling K-Rock as a kid and being like, can you play that Feeling This? And I'm waiting like 2 hours for them to finally play it and be like, yeah, they fucking did it. They listened to me. But so exciting. And I love that video too. I thought Tom looked so cool with his black hair and shit. Like it just an awesome time for Blink.
It really was. And like I said, I feel bad now that I missed out on the first little bit of it because I was being such a little dumbass. I was the guy you guys are talking about where I was like, fuck these non-punk rock sellout bitches. You know what I mean? Like I never really felt
we got you back though. We got you back.
Yeah, I was just bummed.
You came back.
You know what I mean? I wasn't like that much of a dick. Speaking of amazing people, what's up, Cody? Yes, everybody roundhouse kick that like button. I recently saw Blink this past July. Oh, that's sick, dude. That's really cool. All right, so we're at number 1s, and by process of elimination, you guys have learned my favorite is Enema of the State. And a really funny story about this. I remember buying Dude Ranch when, and I'm not trying to be that guy where like pat on my back.
Go Go
I
for
remember
it.
buying Dude Ranch when Dude Ranch was,
Got good
out
taste.
when it was available. And I remember Enema of the State, like we were building up the hype for it. And What's My Age Again started playing on MTV and shit. And me and my buddy Marky Reese were sitting outside of the high school locker room in Sand Creek, smoking a cigarette in between 5th and 6th hour. And we were just like, wouldn't it be funny if Blink just became this huge band that everyone loved? And we were like, yeah, you're an idiot, dude. Like, yeah, that'll happen. And then, like we buy the record, and I just remember skipping school to go buy that record too. That's the first record I think I ever skipped school to actually go buy was that one. And hearing Dumpweed, just that first, I was just like, whoa, holy shit.
So big.
And I was back then I used to drink, I used to do everything else that I don't do anymore because I'm not responsible enough to do it responsibly. And I'd be that dude at parties that would get totally fucking wasted and defend Enema of the State to the death. Like, because all my other friends were like, oh, this record's fun. I was like, listen, man, the singles may not be the most punk rock, but the record's fucking great, man. Okay? Like, it's a great fucking record, bro. Just listen to, like, that was me, man. For the highlights, I literally wrote yes. Just pick a song. Throw a dart at the dartboard and pick a song. And Dice, thank you for at least stopping by. I appreciate it. If you're twisting my arm and making me pick, I'd say probably Going Away to College. Dysentery Gary is up there. Just because that song will still to this day just fucking crack me up.
I love that song.
An Anthem, like you said, the first time I listened to Anthem and it got to that last part, what he's talking about his dad, yelling at the bed. Like all of us, I'm sure, related to that moment,
We were all flipping our parents off at that point.
Yeah. Like, yes, dude. I think I hear my dad yelling at the band. Like that whole part was just like, that was our anthem. You know what I mean? Like we were, at least for me, I don't want to speak for everybody, but and I know it's weird to think about now because I'm really like outgoing and like I love to talk to people and I never shut the fuck up, according to my wife. But like I was such a scared kid, man. Like I stumbled into punk rock. I didn't run into punk rock. I stumbled into punk rock because I watched the movie Angus. And Angus, I was like, wow, holy shit, this movie is amazing and the soundtrack is so good. And I remember my mom buying me the soundtrack to Angus, and it had like it had Weezer, it had Green Day, it had all these bands, and I was like, wow, this is so good. And then that's how I first started hearing about punk bands. Because like I said, I grew up in Sand Creek, Michigan. Punk was not a thing out here. And so I'm watching these movies and Can't Hardly Wait comes out. And I hear I hear Damn It on that record, and I'm just like, wow. Or on that movie. And that's when I had first heard, that's when I went out and bought Dude Ranch, because we looked at the end credits and we're looking at all the songs and that we just stumbled upon it, and it's just, to this day, I'll never forget what Enema of the State, I listened to that record just for like days and days and days on my Walkman of, with my fucking earphones. I still, to this day, I hate these fucking things, man. I'm all about the big ass headphones, but just listening to this and just being like, wow, this band is special. It was more than music to me. It was like, I literally had I would buy Teen Beat magazines because Blink-182 was in them, and I'd hang the pictures up on my wall. My wall literally looked like the Adam Song music video. It was just pictures of Blink-182 everywhere. And I remember buying the VHS of the Urethra Chronicles and just thinking it was the funniest thing. And if Bill's still in here, there's so many stories I could tell about, Blink-182 and how they affected and influenced my life. And even I just remember watching the Urethra Chronicles and watching them come up with the name Enema of the State. And Tom's like, we're going to call it Enema of the State. And he's like, where's Mark? That's a great record name. Hey, Mark. And then they ran with that, and I could get emotional and talk for hours about Enema of the State alone, and like how I would just listen to this record from front to back, and like as corny as it sounds as a 37-year-old man to say this, but this record was like my escape from reality as a kid, because I would put this on and 100%. I would stand in front of a goddamn, I can't believe I'm telling stories like this, but I had a stand-up mirror in my basement, and I would just stand in front of that mirror with a mic stand and my guitar with my amp on, acting like I was playing shows to people, and I was, just doing every single Blink song on that record from front to back over and over, just to give me the courage to go out there and start playing shows with my band. And without Blink-182, 17, Hearts Bleed Black, whatever you wanted to call our band, would have never existed, and that record and me standing in front of a fucking full-size mirror practicing where to have my legs split evenly, where to have my jump with my legs up behind me, like that's what I did. Like that was my choreography, man. Standing in front of this stand-up mirror. And I'll never forget one last thing I want to say before Rob Gliss was number one. I'll never forget my mom walking downstairs one time and I didn't hear her. And like I'm doing this down in my basement. And, like it was one of those things where like I'm so into it, like I like look around and I'm like, worst. Oh shit, she was like, you sound better than the guys, like
you might have.
She took me to see Blink for the first time with it was Blink, Saves the Day, Alkaline Trio, and Newfound Glory. And
oh my god.
It was just like the best show I'd ever seen. And, like my mom was like, it's not. My mom was like, we'll listen to Stay Together for the kids. The rest you can have. But when that song comes on, we'll turn it up a little bit. The rest is all you, So Blink even makes you think of my mom, who I miss every single day. Like that was the band where she was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll take you to this concert. She took me and my three best friends. We all went to this concert and at DTE Energy in Detroit. And we thought we were just the coolest fucking people. She let us all dye our hair. We all got to do different color hair the night before we went. Cause like my mom was always cool as shit. She was like, I don't give a fuck what you do. Just like, don't be a fucking idiot. So like we did like green hair, like we all did our thing and it was just dope. Like as a kid, I was like 14 or 15 and I just thought I was so fucking cool, man. And my mom encouraged it. So like that's the type of parent I want to be, encourage you to be who you are. And that all fucking goes back to Blink-182. So to this band, thank you for creating me and making me the person I am. So now that I'm done with that fucking story, how about you, Rob? What's your number one?
It's a good story though. I enjoyed that. That was good.
It's touching.
But my number one is the self-titled record. Self-titled.
It's fine.
It's called Blink-182. It's self-titled. But no, I'm just kidding. No, but honestly, the first time I heard this record, I was like floored. I was like blown away. And Ken mentioned Sam Goody. I remember being in like FYE in the mall and just picking this up the day it came out. And I was driving home with my buddies, and we were listening to the record, and every track we were just like, holy shit. Like we would just keep looking at each other. I'm frozen. Am I frozen to you guys?
No, you're good.
All right. Anyway, so I remember listening to it on the ride home from the mall, and like every track we were like, dude, every track was good. And then finally it got to the Robert Smith Cure track, and we were like, we just recognized his voice right away. We pulled the car over, and I remember my buddy, he just grabs the artwork or the booklet, and we're like, is this Robert Smith? We're like, this is Robert Smith. And we're like, nah, it can't be. And it was, and we were just freaking out the whole ride home, dude. And to be honest with you, like, I was just so proud of them, like, as a fan and as a band at that point, because like, I didn't know that the same band that wrote songs like Mother's Day and Family Reunion could write a song like I Miss You. I didn't know that they had the potential to do that, and I was just so impressed. And like, the album's solid, and I think Ken said it's like probably their best musical album, and I think that's true. Like, they really showed their potential on this record, and like how talented they really are. Like, I really dig this record, and if somebody wanted to hear like Blink-182, I'd probably show them this record. Like, if they never heard them before, I'd probably be like, check out this album, Just because I also appreciate the variety on the record too. There's a little bit of everything on it. So
yeah. Ashley, I don't know if you're still in the chat because Ashley's at work, Ashley, if you're still in the chat, give me a thumbs up real quick because I want you to answer a question if you're still here. I saw you just commented back to Dice. I do got to say, yes, Tom was right, which was also one of my favorite parts of the Urethra Chronicles too, when they're asking the guys if they believe in aliens, and Mark's like, you know what? No. Just to spite Tom, I'm going to say no. You can bring me all the proof in the world, and I'll still just be like, no, don't believe it. Like that. I fucking love that.
Or
shit.
Tom.
Yeah. And yes, thank you. That means a lot to us because we're having a great time. I love these guys. Any chance I get to work with all three of them is a fucking honor for me. Speaking of pretty ladies, hi, Kaylee.
Oh, hi. Sorry. The computer's like frozen. He was having me check it. Sorry.
I have no idea what
Artist has
happened.
been doing it too.
Yeah, he just wanted to make sure you could see him. Okay.
Kaylee has a Blink tattoo on her back, actually.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Oh yeah.
You want to flash your back? Huh?
She's like, oh, fuck you, dude. You guys remember the dollar bill tour?
Oh, so upset. So upset I didn't get that.
I was there. I saw Green Day and Blink in 02. Yeah, I was there. It was with who was the third band? Was it Saves the Day? I think it was. But that was an awesome show, dude.
Yeah. But
I couldn't go because my parents didn't believe me that it was actually $1. It was infuriating.
See, that's hilarious because like we went to that one and it was like everybody knows, like if you've seen 8 Mile, you know what the Shelter is. And the Shelter is just this little tiny basement venue. And the place above that, which nobody talks about, is St. Andrew's Hall. And that's like where, like, if you start at the Shelter, your goal is to get to St. Andrew's Hall. Like, that's your goal. Like, you start down at the Shelter, rap battles, punk rock shows, whatever. Your goal is to make it up to St. Andrews. And Blink had been doing these stadium tours, and they came back and they did St. Andrews on the Dollar Bill Tour. And literally, it was the most miserable fucking show I've ever been to. Like, it was just like the bands were great, but it was just like there was no fun to be had because you were just like literally like a sardine in a can. Like, it was just fucking miserable. So when I saw the O2 fucking Pop Disaster Tour, I had to ask about Dollar Bill Tour, see if you guys remember that. But hey, you should do that again, guys, because now your tickets are like fucking $600 a piece. You asshats.
I tried to get some. They were like $500. You're not kidding about that.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah, bring back that Dollar Bill Tour shit, man. So Jason,
I like how they have a price.
what's your number one?
But then when you go to checkout, they tack on like fees and handling, and it's another $200, and you're like, fuck me.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here ready. It's take off your pants and jacket. But you guys were all talking about this is so difficult to not say anything. I found this. I found this at the beginning of COVID. I feel like it was some dude offloading all of his favorite albums. But this is like insanely rare. I got it for $150, which is way too much to spend on a record. It's worth like
Fuck, no, it's not.
All of these are red, and then you get all the singles. And yeah. So this one for me, like I definitely ranked this more about like how it impacted me and less about how like, you know, maybe the full technical of the album. This is the one that got me to play guitar. So like I grew up playing guitar in youth group at church and then playing this album. And the first time I was in what you'd call a band, like a bunch of people thinking that they can play music, we were playing Stay Together for the Kids. And like that song for me, I was just like so mad at my parents at the time that song was just like so important. We just, I don't know, that song stuck with me hard. But Ken, you were joking about Roller Coaster earlier. Roller Coaster is easily one of the highlights for me. I love the way that Mark wrote that and putting in that little carnival tone was so cool. But it's probably Every Time I Look for You, like might be one of the top 3. That breakdown at the end is so powerful. But you just truly, like, on this album get the best combination for me. So it's like the Enema Blink and the untitled or self-titled Blink combined.
Yeah,
man, we're losing everybody, dropping like flies. But yeah, like that was for me. So if I wanted to show somebody Blink, I'd want them to be able to get that like edgy, sad, mature side and that goofy, fun side. So that's where I landed. But Rock Show, I hate that song. I hate that song so hard. The music video is so punk rock to be like, here, let me take this $100,000 or whatever and just give it away. But man, I cannot stand that song. That band I was in, we covered Rock Show, and I've probably played it like 100 times. I hate that song.
Right. And again,
Whatever.
That was one of those songs when it first came out. I was like, they should have called it the Punk Show, but fucking same thing.
Well, they even say they wrote it like 5 minutes. Like Mark was just like, "Oh, I got to write this single," and it's a catchy song, but it totally shows. But I love the talent, to be like, "Oh, I got to write a single," like one of the biggest songs ever.
Hey, Bill, I was just talking earlier about having to show somebody a Blink-182 tape. So that's a story I'll tell off air. But remember, when we go off air, I got to tell you guys a story about Bill and the Blink-182 tape. So, but now we're up, Mike. We're up to your number one.
Jason's just like my Blink spirit brother here. Like I end here on. I also end with "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket." Like it is just a perfect Blink-182 album for me. And again, like every time I look for you, I love that song. Like I remember watching American Pie 2 for the first time and being like, oh, that's this. I love that. Oh, that's good. Which was great because they had like Mutt in the first one, which was great as well. Like I love that one. But also Shut Up. I love Shut Up. I love Online Songs. I'm also a huge Roller Coaster fan. Love Roller Coaster. There's not a moment on this album that doesn't make me think of my youth. Or I love that there's like a keyword that was dimed in. You said it, and then Rob said it. You guys both said Sam Goody, which was like my shit. Oh my God. If it wasn't for Sam Goody, where would I be today? Like, love Sam Goody, love Blink. Like I'm such a big yay.
Sorry, the computer like completely cracked.
Yeah, I'm using my phone now. The computer like
all good,
broke.
But
we're not bottom row boys anymore.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Right side boys.
I can feel you. I
can.
I like you on top of me.
But yeah, it's just like, again, it's one of those ones where it definitely, when it came out, just completely took me by surprise, because they did like embrace the pop side of things on Takeoff in the best way possible. And again, I think that for me, a lot of that record, even like Please Take Me Home, like I remember the first time I heard that was on Napster, and it was called Jaded, and it was the live version of it. And it was just like, I thought it was the coolest shit. I was like, oh my God. Ashley, are you in the chat now? Can you actually hear us? Because I got to ask you a question before we leave. I want everybody to know I'm not being a poo-poo pee-pee like Bill said. Bill was with me.
I have a sad admission though. Like I don't know if you guys feel this as well, but like it took me way too long to understand the joke behind "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket."
Oh, for sure.
It took me like years after being very familiar with the album to be like, wait a minute. It's like fucking Foxtrot Charlie Kilo, like Uniform Charlie Kilo. I remember like a year after that song came out being like, oh, that's the F word. Like
I got
put the you know what and the you know where.
Yeah.
So, Ashley,
I wore a shirt I'm not allowed to wear anymore because I got caught at school. My teacher got the joke immediately. I had the stoplight shirt. It's in a landfill somewhere because of that joke.
So Ashley knows when the self-titled Blink-182 record come out, did I or did I not get so upset and emotional because of how much I did not like that record? But dude, you're talking about like the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket thing. I wore a hoodie, the Queers hoodie, and I had to put, my teacher was like, you have to take that off. I was like, no, I'm cold. And she was like, seriously, you can't wear that. And so I ended up having to put a piece of tape over the Q and the U.
Are you serious?
So it actually said the ears. Like, hold on. I actually asked Ken in 7th grade, how is this not appropriate? Oh, an actual jacket. Which is funny because another little known fact about William and I, we both happen to have done 7th grade 3 times. Because we were young, punk kids that didn't give a fuck about anything and never went to school. And so we did 7th grade 3 times. And then the 3rd year, oh yeah, see, she's not lying.
Yeah, when you cried.
I was such a bitch about it, dude. Like when that record came out, I was such a bitch, dude. At that time, me and Ashley weren't, dude, we weren't like, oh yeah, that record had me so down. But like Ashley and I weren't an item then, but we were still like best friends. And she knew. She was like, oh, you're heartbroken. I was like, yeah, make it up to me. No, like me and Bill, like we both did 7th grade twice, and then the 3rd time they were like, listen, just fucking pass and we'll skip you through 8th grade. So like they're like, just come to school, please. Oh my God. So me and Bill can honestly say, like when people are like, do you remember your 8th grade year? I could be like, no, I never did 8th grade. They skipped. I did 7th, 9th. They were like, just get the fuck out of the middle school. We don't want you assholes here anymore. Like, just get the fuck out. So like, but that was us. We were like these little punk kids. And yeah, I just gotta say, guys, like I had a real shit day since 5 o'clock yesterday up until earlier today, which is no fault of anybody's. And again, I'm not gonna get into it. I'll get into it with you guys once we go off air. But it's just, I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out and talking about something we're also passionate about. This has been really fun. So I know I said it at the beginning, guys, but I do want to reiterate, I have all their links down in the description. So please make sure you're subscribing to them. They're doing amazing work. They're always pumping out content. Like I said, Captain Sassy just released their first short horror film, and you guys will absolutely love it. Please make sure you're checking it out. And if you're watching this on a replay, let us know in the comments what your favorite Blink record is, what your least favorite Blink record, and everything in between. We would love to know. And what's your favorite Blink song? Very curious to know. So, guys, please don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, as always, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It does help the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay who you are, and we'll see you guys soon. Now we wait 10 years for